push this button.
I'm Groot.
No!
Reference is not just a visual, it's a feeling. When I create these characters, I draw from personal experiences. There was a time when, things weren't so good in the Philippines. Walking to school with some friends, we saw a dead body and it was very traumatic. The comic book became my outlet to see the world being saved by heroes. Charlie Wen, he got me in for Guardians of the Galaxy to do Aliens. And from there, my first main character that I got to work on was Baby Groot. When James Gunn came to me, he wanted a really cute character, but to get me through into Baby Groot, I was heavily influenced by my kids. While I was designing Baby Groot, my kids were a big influence. The other characters I worked on is Loki for Thor Ragnarok, Hulk from Thor Ragnarok, Doctor Strange. In Infinity War, I did a lot of kind of cool stuff on that too, which I can't talk about. I also do keyframe art to help the director visualize the scene, from the lighting to the feel. So for example, Ant-Man, we wanted to show how the miniature world would look like. It's a crazy feeling that my designs are up on the big screen and it's iconic now. Everyone's like cosplaying it. And I would have never dreamt that my designs could be that influential. And to top it off, to be part of the team that created Black Panther, the biggest superhero film of all time, and I feel so fortunate. I created Okoye, the general of the Dora Milaje, and Nakia's costume, which ended up being the Dora Milaje costume. And in the Philippines, we have a lot of warriors there, people fighting against colonialism. So the first thing that came to my mind from my inspiration was the Igorots, the Ifugao. Remembering the Igorot having the little sash that comes down and how that's built helped me design the costume for the Dora Milaje. The flexibility and the freedom to create is why I love art. Everyone's creative in their own way, and they have a lens that they see things and translate things. I hope I really get to inspire people and get to inspire people from the Philippines, because that's where I came from. And to know that no matter where you are in life, if you just focus and work hard, you will get to where you want to go. All right, so welcome to my little tutorial for Connected Ink. And thanks Wacom for inviting me too. And this is going to be me showing you how I would design superhero for film, comic book character for film. So first thing I want to do is, I guess, imagine the gesture of the character for this. And how do we find the gesture of the characters is what's the story of the character in the film? What is he or she, what's the purpose, and that could tell me the gesture of the character. Like if it's Captain America, then he's like this heroic, heroic pose, that one leg up, like this. But usually you want to have this flow going. And I kind of make it smaller to check the full body. And flipping just to see if it works well. make sure you have the center line. This all more like drawing techniques and habits you need to form. And you know, sometimes my anatomy is actually not that great. So I'm just gonna always have reference in hand. I definitely want to at least get that gesture feeling correct. S curves, make it flow. You know, maybe grass. Here, hide the legs, just kidding. Hide the feet, the boots. But you know, you have practiced that for now. I'm just gonna hide it. So the face is facing this way. Maybe think of it like a box like this, just so I could at least make sure it's clear which way he's facing. Okay, neck connects with the rib cage here, shoulders. Okay, so there's a gesture, heroic. See where the hand, I like to like imagine there's this flow coming here to the foot, and then this side going like this, the center line, and then this neck kind of connects to the hip a little bit. It doesn't really connect, it's just like a gesture line. And just imagining all these folds that's happening here, definitely get some reference for that. And then after I get the gesture down a little bit, this will be like at least a structure I can build the costume on. So something like that. And of course it could be better. So get the gesture. Sometimes I would draw it like straight on, like you know, just so I could see the design faster. I would do this in my sketchbook, because sometimes when it's in a pose like that, it's hard to see the whole design. Again, it comes from the story. After you figure out the story, then you could know how to clothe him. Because if the story or the kind of movie it is, if it's a creature movie or what genre, if it's sci-fi, if it's fantasy, you know. So straight on like this, at least you could test out armors on top like that, and which kind of belts, and those should probably be in layers. Putting his body kind of naked first, and then building on top of that through the layers. Okay, so let's say I like this pose already, and maybe look for reference for the poses. This won't be like a rendering tutorial, by the way, so I am gonna try to explain how I design or film more than just rendering it. It takes a while for me. I'm not that fast. So first thing is I gotta make sure that the actor can move properly. You know, so wherever I put the armor on top, I don't want it to go too big on his shoulders. I want to use real world reference of things that already look like it's intricate, but then the person can still move. And one of my favorite ones to use is samurai armor, because it's really cool and well designed, but it still is functional. It can move. So let's say this is just a rough multiply on that, and I'm just gonna block out the simple color, or sometimes I just do it in black and white first, so it's easier. But for this one, I guess I'll do it in black and white. again. Just like a mask I need to have first. Let me mask this out. Oh, I wanted to, which character should I like the X-Men when I was really young. Even now, I still like it. So I always drew Wolverine. Maybe I wouldn't, maybe I could make this guy Wolverine. So how did I draw Wolverine for this? Oh, the knees are really short. Yeah, so we're talking about mobility. So Wolverine needs to really be able to move well. So aside from making it look cool, how can I make sure he moves well? Plus, if Wolverine is really thick, then is there a way for me to beef up his shoulders with the costume and maybe even the shoulder part? Maybe there's a way, the traps, maybe there's a way to thicken that. And then obviously his hair. Okay. So the different parts. So if you think of it like regular clothes and how those move, where the seams are. And if I think of building this like in real life to make sure it moves properly, so you'd look at tactical outfits or gladiator, what do gladiators wear? And then sometimes I like to do the bigger brushing just so I could see where the separations would go. Maybe this could be like for the backpack, like he's carrying a backpack. Just take out the backpack. So keep it simple. Just the biggest parts first. Maybe I want to show more of his arms. The Wolverine has these. So you have to look at your reference, what's in the comic book, and I try my best. I mean, I'm already a Marvel fan, so I kind of know what parts I like, and I don't try to change it, make it not look like the superhero. You know, sometimes in some movies from the past, for some reason, they really think that being true to the character will be bad. Like but for me, I think I want to be true to the character. I don't have to copy the design exactly, but I could choose certain elements of the design, like for Wolverine. Let's see, I'll just show Wolverine. I look at the Wolverine comic book, and John Byrne's like one of my favorite artists that I remember seeing him draw Wolverine. So I want to have the reference up so you could really stay with, you know, the feeling, the inspiration, in respect to the original designers, the source material. So yeah, so this is gonna be a different version of him, maybe because he's really thick. So how do I translate that here? You probably would have to think of which actor could play him. Let's just say we choose someone big. You know, let's say Dave Bautista could have been Wolverine. How would he, how would he look like here? He's really big. So then I'll get a picture of Dave Bautista and then try to see how big his arms are and try to match it a little more, this body type. Then again, Wolverine is not that tall. So if there's anybody. Okay, all right, back to this. Okay, so like looking at the boots of Wolverine, we have this thing coming out from the side like this, to like his theme of being, don't know, like that's how his hair is shaped. So maybe they shaped his boots that way. I don't really know the story behind it, but if I think about it, can he move well with these going up like this? Or is there a way to still get that shape but be mobile still at the same time? So I guess looking at different we call this different military gear. So I'm thinking if this folds over, and this is just a test, so I'm going to test it out, see if I had this going like this and this actually folds over, how would this be up here? Or would that come closer like this? If that works well. But when my mind can't figure it out yet, I'll just leave it behind and I'll go to the next part I'm trying to solve. So what can I do to make the belt still feel like an X-Men belt, but go into this technology of his upper costume? Like how does this close up now? Are there zippers here? Or are the zippers right here? So what it is when you do concept art or costume design too, you're trying to solve problems, right? Of not just for the story, for the book, but also for the movie, but also the little things that he might need to do in real life, let's say, you know, and as the actor getting into this suit. And what material should his gloves be like? Is it armored on some parts and then softer on the wrist? It's kind of coming together, I guess. I tend to not render right away. I mean, some people can do that, but I tend to linger on how much can I put in this design. And this is like, okay, this is one design. So now his mask, how would I put his mask on? Is that like riveted like that? You know, how much protection does he need? Again, what is his job at this moment? Is he going to save someone right now? I keep on stressing on that story part because that's what helps me learn if there's any problems I need to solve or come up with problems that I need to solve. So yeah, so now, so that's one option. And I'll just group that and copy that to another folder, and then now redo the stuff I did in a different way. I would sometimes have duplicate this and put it to the side so I could make sure it's very different from each other. Like this feeling is different from this. And then, okay, and then now I go back on top of this and see if I could change everything I had and decide, okay, so I'm deciding if I'm going to keep all the details out here, you know, and then make it quiet inside, or make it like quiet out here and all the details inside here. So it's like, I don't want it busy everywhere. I want like some parts where it's not gonna be too busy. Sometimes I don't hold myself back with that because also I try to use values to group certain busy and not busy parts. For example, let's say if all of this has all this stuff, like all this detail looks really messy, then what I could do is just group them with color, so it would feel like it's grouped in a simple. Could be this yellow. Wow, that's really bright. And then it's blue. They won't feel as busy anymore because even this could be grouped together. And put the yellow here. And maybe just the top part would be yellow. This is where it becomes fun to see how you could simplify your busy details. You squint your eyes often. Maybe yellow and black would be cool. Like how, because he has blue a little bit here, but what if I don't use the blue and just go with yellow and let me see if it works. I definitely want to keep these. That's, you know, I feel like once I take that off, it won't feel like Wolverine. Because even without his face here, you see these claw marks, these stripe marks on him. It still feels like Wolverine. And I think that's what it is. You're trying to still copy your source material, but kind of just changing the language a little bit, but not too much. And I'm just trying black and yellow and see how that, he definitely is not trying to be, he's definitely not trying to be inconspicuous. Is that how you say it? Like, he's not trying to hide. He's about to attack you. Then now the yellows inside here, I could keep that yellow and just do different tones of yellow. Maybe that could help. Belt be black. It's all really testing it out. But in my mind's always, how do I simplify the color scheme? How do I simplify it for the screen so it's easy to read when you're watching it? Sometimes it's a good way to, like what I did earlier, made it all yellow and then start putting back the darks. And right now I only have yellow here, so I need to echo some of that down here, down the legs, and I'm just trying to see where I could do that. It's really rough. All right, so I feel that I need the yellow to come down here a little bit, somewhere here. And sometimes I don't know how shape it's going to be. I just put a dab right there and just to see if it fits there. And then from there, I try to shape that dab somehow. And if that doesn't work, then I'll try a different shape. And so it feels like I need the blue somewhere. Maybe the blue could be only the metal parts. Like it's reflecting stuff. Maybe that, because right now, like with the three, I think it has 4 colors on there. I'm trying to simplify the color scheme and trying to make one more dominant, which was supposed to be the yellow. I'm trying to get the yellow to feel more dominant. So I'm not sure how this is feeling. Feels like it's getting somewhere. Now, will the legs be able to move easily? I kept it short here. Maybe the boots could come up to here. Okay, it's hard to solve this part. I'll solve it later, but up here is kind of there a little bit where he could put his arms up. You know, you have to, I think he could put his arms up. Maybe I could make this shorter so he could actually put his arms up over his head, a little more attached to this main armor piece. And it's really cool to look at, I guess, paintball armor, just to see how mobile they could be. Maybe try to emulate that. Okay. So yeah, so we touched on trying to get the gesture right, trying to make sure there's mobility when you design your parts of your costume, making sure his personality is still there, taking into consideration the actor's body type, and trying to adjust, you know, if the actor doesn't have really big frame, you know, how can we use the costume to help make him feel bigger or even more bigger, like Captain America. He's already worked out to perfection, and then you gotta make him even look thicker. So like Wolverine, he could still feel thicker by using, you know, maybe these shoulder pads. Yeah, so now I'm just trying to figure out this chest piece, how to make it feel more solid, hugging his body a little better. And now these shapes I have to like start figuring out, is this like buckles, or we were talking earlier that this could be a zipper down here, going through here. This paneling or cut lines, should there be, these are all questions in that, should there be like cut lines coming down here? Is the overlaps of the costume, how much overlaps should we have with the paneling? Definitely this part needs to be able to move. You know, so maybe this part could be, have more, what do you call that? It's not layering, it's like, maybe this could be a mesh instead, like from everything in this waist down could be a mesh. So it's easier to move with it. So maybe I'd have to research on what materials or military that we can use to replace the symbolism I'm drawing, like the symbol lines that I'm doing, like, okay, these will be more panels in the middle here. And also to make it not look like Batman. I realize this is feeling a bit like Batman's panels, but the colors will really help this not look like Batman. And what's getting clearer and clearer to me is that I want to work out this chest part. Because I don't have time to like do this whole thing. So let's focus on one part, like this part, this chest, going into the arm, making sure this arm is mobile. So the joint is going to be around here, right? So That's your armpit. To clarify where my parts are. And it's like I'm trying to feel out the shoulders right here. So is this thing too low? It could be. Because how can he put his arms forward if he needs to? So maybe that could be higher over here. Obviously, sometimes it's okay where it was, but this is just another option to give. I would probably have the first idea as an option for the producers to look at, and sometimes they just like it so much that we'll try to make it work on film. Costume designer will have to try to make it work in real life. But I try my best to think of all the important points before delivering it to the costume designer for final manufacturing. And you know, sometimes when it goes to the costume designer, it changes again depending on how difficult it is to make, or they just need a little bit more time. But most of the time at Marvel Visual Development Team, we like to plan ahead and make sure that we're not making something, we're not designing something that can't be made. Usually, since there are a lot of Marvel films out there already, and usually going off of what's already been designed and seeing what has been done, it's easier to put something together now because, okay, they've done it before. And if I just keep the same kind of structure and design around it, like one example is this shoulder area, right? That's important mobility point. So you don't want to hamper that in any way. The neck part, right? And even this part right here, when the arm goes up, this has to squeeze. So you don't want this to be like one full piece. I mean, you can, but you want to leave room here by the neck. So just in case, I mean, so when they put their arms up, there's a place for this piece to move. And I don't design as logical in the beginning. You just want to have your creativity roam free in the beginning. I've been doing this for a while now that I'm able to think of both things at the same time. And now I just start off with what the character is, you know, what it needs to do. Then I know which parts. If he doesn't need to move so much, I could just have him, you know, if he's just sitting down, then I could not have to think about the shoulder being mobile. Right, so now, okay, so this part right here, I'm thinking that it can be more layered or faceted, I guess it's called. Where and sometimes I'm drawing from the stuff I already did for the Dora Milaje, like how did I solve this part? So it's that took a while to do, and if I already done it, I just have to like kind of copy it a little bit and put it into what I'm trying to solve here if I've already solved it before. I'm still trying to keep in painting wise to make it not keep it simple, 3 values within this design so it's clear, and then I'll just adjust. So I'm putting these little ridges here, just that's how I'm telling myself, oh, that's where it can move. So there's spaces in between here. So when he puts his arm in front of him, he could, like right in front of him like this, he could move it. Because that's another piece right here. Oh, right here. You move it forward. can your design, can he reach to the other side of his shoulder? Maybe it doesn't have to go all the way. Like, think about that. And because of his costume down here, there's that triangle for the shoulder pads. I'm thinking, can I still keep that triangle here? I try not to lose sight on trying to keep it close to the comic book as possible. And these lines here can be like breathable material, maybe. So it's easy to stretch that out. But this part feels like it's so solid that I need to give it some room to move. So maybe the only solid part would be this part here. So be stationary. So to add more realism, and it could be more believable when it's on screen, and it's believable because it can move. You know, you've thought about how it could actually be built. Zoom out, see if it's clear. Back in. Okay, so now this feels flat, so I'm gonna try to pull it out a little more. So in my brain right now, I'm like trying to decide how sharp this thing should be. This thing should be sharp like this. Or not. It's all really the same. And again, it seems so simple. I'm just explaining the way I'm explaining because I'm just really thinking about the mobility, and then staying true to the comic book, copy paste that on top so it's its own layer. Then I could paint a little more cleanly at the bottom of this. You painted it once, you just try to copy paste what you've already done, so save some time. But it's okay. I mean, this is just a version, and I'm gonna give more versions after I do this. Because remember, I had this version with, I painted over it. I had the version where I wanted this to be like more mesh underneath, so that will be an option. So I'll save that as an idea. I'll probably put in another layer. And then now this is a different idea of what if I follow the rib cage, his rib cage all the way to the edge here, and then adjusted this one to match that flow from that rib, that line I'm trying to put right here. And then pull this out a little more, maybe. Maybe that could look cool. No, maybe it doesn't look cool. Yeah, no, it doesn't look cool. It's just going too wide. I think I like the way I did the last one, and I didn't save it. No, I didn't get it. So now I have to like redo it. So I remember I did this, and so this is pretty much how I do my designs already. When I was working at Marvel, this is pretty much how I do it. I just go over it multiple times, trying to get to the part, get to some kind of agreement in my mind of how does that look cool or not, based on the parameters I give myself. Which how do I find the parameters is when I read the script, or look at the comic book to see what I need to make sure I keep. And when you look at the comic book, the defining features of the comic, of the character, and I guess that is a conversation to be had. How do you know the defining features, right? Each person has his own way, his taste, I guess. I mean, but I guess there's an exercise we could do where we look at a superhero, and then you go, when I close my eyes, which thing stands out the most? Because I mean, the artists back then, they're pretty amazing, and they knew how to make something memorable, even though it's not quite realistic. You're wearing like kind of skin tight costumes, but there's defining features, just like this guy, like Wolverine, his cowl, and his boots, and they in his brown version of his costume, they kept the cowl. That's his defining feature. And if you look at, it's just more interactive with people. If you look at Captain Marvel, what's the defining feature? Her mohawk, maybe. She has that V part in her costume that could be really cool. That is something you want to keep like the essence of the character. Sometimes you could really change the way it looks. If it still feels like the character, then it works. It's like the Dora Milaje when I designed that. It's not really what's out there, in the comic books. But I was inspired by some images of the Dora Milaje. I just didn't want them to be so scantily clad, and I wanted to modernize and make them feel more like modern warriors, but still keeping that tribal quality of like an African traditional tribe. So doing material textures, like the shininess of something, or if it's cloth, or if it's Kevlar, like learning how to paint those will be really helpful. Like this, I remember, I think it's Will Spurtash, someone that has, this could be like more cloth, like trying to see if you could balance the hard and the soft materials. Something to think about. It doesn't have to all be hard. And again, the overlapping, like how would he wear this thing? So these two things are blue, but I want to make this feel more like a softer, like a shirt underneath that's still that breathable fabric. And then this one will be like more shiny and color dodge. I learned that from Justin Sweet was doing this demo a long time ago, and he said this is the quickest way to make something feel like metal. You paint on it the color you want and get a color dodge and just put like a highlight, and then instant metal. You just paint back into it. And then it's not metal again. Then you just go back and put the highlight with the overlay. Oh, so not overlay, color dodge. Yes, and now see the difference now with this. Maybe you could even wrap around his neck more. A little more like a cowboy. Or like a Native American. So this one goes around. So I try to draw through to the other side. Kind of try to match this up with the other side. For the face, I have to like look for reference later, an actor or something that I think could be good as him. Use the lasso tool. Get this head. He never smells, so this is already like wrong. I'll get back to it later. His face, really focusing on his body. I feel maybe the shoulders. There's something going on here that I don't know what's happening. Maybe his chest. His chest is not big enough. There. Maybe that feels better. I'm trying to maintain his thickness. This needs to go further out. Center line. Always make sure you know where your center line is. That kind of helps it feel solid, more solid. Well, in terms of design, I think I'm just trying to see what shapes fit better that's matching the reference. I'm always thinking about how far can I cut into this. I already have a basic direction that I like, so it's just all about finishing it now and just making it fit properly. Yeah, so now it's just about finishing it up, and hopefully you guys got something out of it. Just a recap of what we were learning, because right now it's just gonna be all about rendering and finding the right materials to finish this design. But this is how I normally would start off a design for a film, thinking about the way it moves, what part of the story is, what does he do in the film, what kind of story does he, how do you say this, what's his purpose in the film, and sticking close to the reference material is really key, in not veering off too much. Then you get to do a good job. The fans would like it, and if you're a fan yourself, then you always kind of want to follow what you feel you want to do, because that's pretty much what I do when I design these things. I just feel like, okay, I want to see this in the movie. So I try my best to present as much variations as I can to the producers and the directors, while still trying to give what I want them to see. Yeah, so here it is. Probably gonna try to finish it more in my own time, and then I'm gonna post it on my Instagram. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this, and hopefully we'll see some of your designs in the future. Share it on my Instagram, tag me or something. It would be awesome to check it out. All right, guys, so hopefully you enjoyed this quick demo and showing you some of my process of how I design characters. This is pretty much what I go through, and I even try to talk about my process while my mind is thinking about it. And I get so focused that I forget to talk, but hopefully you got a lot from it. And thank you again for joining me in Connected Ink. And enjoy the creative chaos. I'll see you guys around. Bye.